get right into it, everybody. Wishing you a happy weekend. Hope everything's going well with you. I know it's actually feeling like a weekend around here because I think we're getting used to this at-home thing now in week 4 or week 5, wherever you happen to be in that spectrum. But hope you have a cup of coffee here this morning, a nice sweatshirt and some sweatpants on, and you can join us here for some severe weather forecasting here. But boy, what a rough weekend we had last weekend. I think we're going to do it all over again this weekend, but I don't think we're going to have storms to that extent in terms of the widespread severe weather. This situation a little bit messier for areas of the south, but still a real decent shot at some severe thunderstorms as we go into your Sunday and then a Monday morning all over again, almost exactly a week from last week's event. So here's what we're seeing. First of all, if you're not subscribed to our page, we're a new page. All about severe weather, right? Winter storms even, but we mainly focus on thunderstorms. So make sure you subscribe if you get a chance. We're going to have updates, and we go live during severe weather coverage across the country as well. So appreciate your support. All right, let's get started. So here's what we're dealing with today. You can see we've got ongoing showers and thunderstorms across Florida. Boy, they've had storms almost every day this week since that front kind of stalled out. But they need it, not necessarily the storms, but they need the heavy rain because we're dealing with some drought across areas of the panhandles. You get down towards Orlando. So this rain has been beneficial despite the fact it's been kind of pesky. So more storms as we go into our Saturday. We're going to be watching areas of Texas. This is where this low pressure is really going to get going. There's a little wave coming out of the Four Corners region that's going to kind of spark all of this. Again, not the potency that we had last week, but still, we can't let our guard down because this has some potency to it. It's springtime. We're dealing with a warm and humid air mass, and there's going to be plenty of shear with this as well. Again, not quite the setup last week, but we still have enough. So, if we didn't have last week happen, we would be just as focused on this. So again, I don't want us to let our guard down. So storms are going to develop in areas of Texas as we go into our Saturday evening. Really gets going on Sunday, though, as this low pressure kind of works its way out of eastern Texas. You can see we might have some storms developing areas of northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, north Georgia, along a warm front that will be pushing off to the north. And that's one of the things we're going to have in play is this warm front. If you looked at the tornadoes that we had last week's event, we had plenty of tornadoes as the cold front was pushing in the warm sector, but we also had another track of tornadoes off on the northern end of things along where that warm front set up. So warm fronts tend to produce a change in wind direction, and they produce plenty of shear. So that's another area we have to watch. Just because it's not exactly 85 degrees and humid, you may have a warm front over you if you're off to the north, and that could produce enough spin as those storms get going. So that's an area we'll have to watch. But here we go. This is now Sunday afternoon. That target zone now heading into very familiar areas, eastern Texas, but especially Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. That's going to be our initial area we're going to watch Sunday afternoon for pretty explosively developing thunderstorms. And then you can see that transitions east, more than likely becoming a pretty decent squall line. But the problem with a squall line is it's going to set up east to west. So on that southern flank, those are the storms that have the best chance of rotating and being supercellular in nature. And that's really going to be an area that of concern as we go into our Sunday night, would be from Birmingham back towards south of Tupelo, near Meridian pretty much, back towards Laurel again, unfortunately, then trailing back in areas of northern Louisiana. Those North Georgia storms will need watch too, especially the southern flank of those. And you can see how this whole entire cluster shifts east. Explosive thunderstorms heading through areas of Georgia, down towards, let's say, the Auburn, Columbus, Georgia area, and then eventually hitting Montgomery. This is now Sunday around midnight. And then you can see on the go forward, it stretches down into areas of South Carolina and southeastern Georgia. Should be losing the threat then. We still may have some supercells going in areas of southeastern Georgia. This is the early morning hours Monday. But that, again, that threat will eventually start to wane in intensity as it heads off towards the east, and then leftover storms in Florida on Monday. Let's look at the significant tornado parameter. Basically, this throws a bunch of equations in there that can create tornadoes and plots it out on a map to show where we have the greatest risk for that. Not a whole lot of a tornado threat on Saturday. That's today. Sunday morning, not a whole lot of a threat. And then the afternoon, we get that daytime heating. We get some instability going, and you can see that threat really ramping up, mainly south of where that warm front sets up. So that would be southern Arkansas, especially areas of Louisiana, Mississippi, and then eventually that heads on over into Alabama and Georgia. Notice the threat doesn't get really far north. Doesn't mean we can't have a spin-up tornado along where that warm frontal boundary sets up, but we're not expecting it to make it quite as far north this time. So that'll keep the threat a little bit further south. But again, it's not last week, but it's still a threat, and it still bears some watching. Now, in terms of atmospheric energy, or CAPE, we call it, we'll have plenty of that. I do think it's going to be a much rainier system, so we're going to have a lot of convection, a lot of rain around, where we're not going to have that real good area of clearing and sunshine that we have. But overall, this is enough. You can see as we go through time, that area of highest CAPE will be right out ahead of that boundary on the southern flank of that shower thunderstorm activity. So that's going to be the area of concern. Wherever that boundary sets up, which will more than likely be central Mississippi to central Alabama, and then central and southern Georgia, that's going to be the area to watch as that energy kind of rolls off to the east. So our time frame on this, again, if you're in the areas of the deep south, this is going to be a Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, on into Sunday night, Monday morning event, sweeping from west to east through areas of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and then Georgia and South Carolina. So we'll continue to keep you updated here on Severe Weather Now. We appreciate you checking us out.